Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for your mercies. Lord, we pray now for special wisdom and guidance, how we handle our monies, our finances, and the work going forward, is our prayer in the name of Jesus. Amen. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm really thankful for Court Henry and in Wales. And the facts are that in the UK, you know, a couple of weeks back, we got an email from Finn, and they asked us for anyone with mission report, and they were saying we need a mission report from the UK, and so we had to submit a mission report from the UK, and unfortunately, Court Henry is the only one left as a group on this message. Wolverhampton are off. Think
in the UK?
Yeah, they think Jeff's Antichrist, they think this whole movement's a mess. I don't know where Nottingham's at, Lancashire's are out, you've got Brecon, they fight this message. You've got all these groups fighting the message, and we're the last ones left. And we're hanging in there. So, and the reason why I bring this up as well, is in the last couple of years, the UK has been the slackest, I'll say that again, the UK has been the slackest in supporting worldwide work, in terms of funding, in terms of supporting missionary work. And I don't know about any of you, but last weekend when we started our financial program, over and over again, she was emphasizing that we need to be putting our money into the work. And I was personally convicted that I need to do more, regardless of what anyone else is doing. I've got to do more to support this worldwide work. I thought I was doing enough as it was, to be honest, and I do quite a bit, but Christ was convicting me that, you know what, you need to go down to the bone, where when but he's told me, not you, he told me. So I was under the conviction that I need to do more. And I will do. And in fact, this week was a very funny week I had. And I kind of made a pledge to the Lord that, okay, I'm going to do something. So, can you speak loud? By the way, you can ask questions. It's an interactive.
You said about the UK work.
Not
the worldwide work.
The worldwide work.
How do we financially that we need to give them money?
Yes, yeah. In other words, it is down to first world countries to support third world countries,
yeah.
Right? And basically, UK is not doing anything. Can you speak a little bit louder for the camera, please? Oh, we'll say it, I'll repeat the question.
No, what I was saying is that I remember when it wasn't kind of encouraged to support worldwide work before supporting work here. So how does that line up? Because that's my understanding.
Okay.
That we need to support the work.
Yeah, I don't think that ever was the case. I think basically the idea is that you yeah. So the question is people were under the impression that any monies was to support the UK work. The idea of collecting money or centralising money was not only to support the UK work, but was to support where the work was needed to be done. I mean, and essentially, that's what the money's there for. So there's Africa. You know what? India hasn't even been touched. There's work, there's work in the Pacific Islands. There's the work, huh?
Do we know of any groups in
In
India?
India, there's one or two people that have contacted the leaders. There's stuff that when I went to India, I left them DVDs. but they don't even have like proper translations of Great Controversy, for example. And one of the projects that I was thinking of was getting Time at the End magazine and getting it translated into Hindi and Punjabi and Urdu. But you know how much it costs just to pay the translators, huh?
I was just thinking there was the pastor that used to work with Path of the Just, he used to go to India all the time. You don't know what's happening with that group, they could be on this side of the message. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know one guy went to India.
He was an Indian.
Oh, he was in India. Oh, yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah, he's gone. He's kind of.
Oh, the
No,
one
okay,
that...
we don't know the groups that they could still be watching.
The group in India.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does.
orphanage.
I don't know.
Oh, that one, absolutely not. No. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's not. But there was another guy. The point is, this work needs doing. Translation work. You've got to pay for this. Printing work, and basically, it's like the UK has never pulled its weight in this work.
So maybe you could set up a fund and...
Maybe we should set up a fund individually or corporately, and we should be. I mean, in Asha's prayer, let this funds be used for worldwide, global. So we need to be thinking bigger and outside just of Wales and UK.
We never get appeals in all fairness. We usually get them internal with that need within Fort Henry, but we never get appeals to support anywhere else. That I've heard of.
You know, I think it's kind of like it's given.
But I
As
think
in,
individuals
No,
do.
you don't know where the need is. That's what
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I think it's important to know what the need is because we don't want to send money to people who don't know who they are.
no, but like the work in Africa, like. So I always think of who's heading up the work. So Elder Tabo heads up Africa. You've got the work in South America by Elder Marco. Kaminda does like the rest of the world.
So when the mission report comes out, it'd be good to
Yeah, so I think what I'm probably going to do, I'm going to ask them where is the work needed, and maybe we're not sharing enough of where things are lack, and I think that might be needed. So we do need to do it. I also just want to reiterate the point in Sabbath school that I made. Every one of us are free will individuals. We do what we like, we go where we like, we share what we like, and it's between you and God, basically, what you're going to do. But, and it comes back to this issue of spiritualism, if someone has rejected light and truth, they are no longer under the instruction of God or holy angels. Once you step over a line and you actively reject truth and fight it, you are now under the guise of spiritualism. And for me personally, what I do is I do not engage with anyone who is fighting, attacking this truth, because as far as I'm concerned, if Eve can't withstand Lucifer when she was perfect, who am I to withstand the wiles of someone under the influence of Lucifer? I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to step on their ground. I'm not going to engage doctrinally. I'm not even going to give a Bible study with them. You know, I've had enough people at Bible study when they're not interested in studying, and all they want to do is trying to convert me over. So I just don't engage. If someone calls me up, I put the phone down. If someone WhatsApp me, I just block them because now it's life and death. This is simple. That's just my personal conviction. So what I like to do, I like to try and cover 2 chapters from Adventist Home, if time permits. So I like to go over. We did actually, I think, cover this, but I want to go over it again because it's something that affects. It's something that affects all of us, and it's something that's connected to some of the discussion that we had last week after Sabbath. And it's taken from chapter 64, page 392, Adventist Home. Yeah, 64. And I like to try and go through 64 and 65. Okay, and if we go slightly over, I'll let you know. All right. Chapter 64 is called Business Integrity. And for those of you who have been in business, it is hard for the businessman. It's hard for the businessman to have that complete integrity. Because you might be tempted as a business person, well, you know what, you can interpret something kind of slightly different, and, well, that's all right to make a few extra pounds, or you know what, I'll make a few extra pounds here. So, the Bible, a source of business principles. There is no branch of legitimate business of which the Bible does not afford an essential preparation. So, as we study our Bibles, all right, we find that actually there's a whole heap of principles to do with our money, business, and finances. And what I find is very helpful is if you get the Bible on CD, and when you're traveling, if you listen to the Bible from beginning to end, what you do, you get the overview of the scriptures, and you get to pick up gems which you may not ordinarily find, unless you're specifically doing a study on business principles or finances or money. So the Bible does not afford an essential preparation. Its principles of diligence, honesty, thrift. We all know what thrift is, right? Thrift is being tight. Okay? Being careful with your money. Thrift, temperance, and purity are the secret of true success. These principles, as set forth in the book of Proverbs, constitute a treasury of practical wisdom. I remember one person, he suggested, maybe for a devotional, take one proverb every morning and study one proverb for a couple of weeks until you got through every single proverb and master all the wisdom there. Where can the merchant, the artisan, the director of men in any department of business find better maxims for himself or for his employees than are found in these words of the wise man? Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men. And in the work that I did before, I had a business that I had before, where I used to live. And from that business, I ended up on television because of that business. And for all I know, the king of a country, the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth may have seen the video where I was on there. So we don't know, all right, that if we're diligent in our business, where it will go, okay? And I've been on Hope TV, I've been on 3ABN, and who knows, King of Swaziland may have saw it one day. You may have seen me. So when it says that these kings and queens will see you before kings, you just never know. In all labour there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. Okay, which means basically really being, when you think of penury, it means like prison.
So is it saying that if you, is that scripture basically saying that you get profit from actually doing something, but just talking and saying what you want to do?
Talking does nothing. Labour does everything. The soul of the sluggard desireth and have nothing. So, the Bible's clear. You don't work, you don't eat. So if you're a sluggard, you're not going to get anywhere. In fact, where you end up as a sluggard, you end up on benefits. And then what happens, you think, well, I'm looked after, the system looks after me. But in some countries, the system doesn't look after you. The drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe the man with rags. And we talked a little bit about, the poor. I look at poor people, and I look at their cars. I look at their phones. I look at how they've got a Sky TV dish. And the amount of money that we waste. I look at their smoking, their cigarette habits. Okay, most people drive to those things because they're in despair and depression and need a cigarette to kind of help them. But what we need to do, we need to lay ourselves at Christ and say, Lord, help us to know how we can save those little pennies. Because, Asha, how many pennies make up a pound? Asha?
100.
100, right? So for every penny that you put aside, that's a pound, and every pound builds up. How many a man might have escaped financial failure and ruin by heeding the warnings so often repeated and emphasized in the scriptures. He that maketh haste to be rich shall not be innocent. So think about all these schemes, make £10,000 a month. It doesn't really happen that often. All right. So does it say it's wrong to be rich?
No.
It didn't say it's wrong to be rich. What it's saying is, he that maketh haste, or those that are trying to make a quick rich scheme, that's the problem. Because when you're trying to make money quickly, it says you're not innocent, because what tends to happen is you tend to take dishonest practices to try and make that money. Wealth gotten in haste shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labour shall have increase. That's interesting too. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a vanity tossed to and fro of them that seek death. And the borrower is servant to the lender. Okay, so we also talked about when you're in debt, we want to get out of debt. Because when you're in debt, you become slave to the lender. Also, all right, I don't know about anyone else, but when it comes to me, if someone wants to borrow money, I want to know why. I want to know all their financial business. I want to see what's the problem. What you've been spending your money on. So you better not asking me for money, because I'm going to grill you. And that's what any businessman does. And we talked about when you go to a bank, doesn't the bank ask you why you want to borrow the money for?
Yeah.
Are you going to tell them the truth, or are you going to lie? All right. So the borrower is servant to the lender, and the lender at any time can demand the money. All right, and they can say, well, you owe me money, pay up, or we're going to send the bailiffs. Okay. He that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it, and he that hateth suretyship is sure. So that's talking about being a guarantor. Never be a guarantor for anyone. Okay? So, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this for a stranger?
Well,
Having a bearing?
you can do it for your children, and you're going to run the risk. But for children, I would. Maybe for a brother, I would. Sister, maybe not. But
What?
we're talking about relatives.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh,
relax. Okay, we're talking about relatives.
No,
So if you trust your relative implicitly, all right. But I know of cases. I've known people who was a guarantor for their nephew, and then the nephew wrecked her house, was 6 months rent arrears, and she got a bill for £3,000-4,000. And when it comes to the sister, well, are you going to pay the bill? No, you're a guarantor for my son. It's your problem, and it just damages. So do not be a guarantor. And there's other references to guarantorship as well. It's not the only one. The 8th commandment condemns theft and robbery. It demands strict integrity in the minutest details.
Oh, yes, a witness.
Yeah, yes. The borrower is servant to the lender, and he that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it, and he that gathers surety is sure. The 8th commandment condemns theft and robbery. It demands strict integrity in the minutest details. All right. So what does it mean by minutest details? Smallest details. Okay. Attention to details of the affairs of life. It forbids overreaching in trade and requires the payment of just debts or wages. What does it mean to overreach in trade? It means not to cheat people, con people. Okay? It doesn't mean, you know what, I buy this pen for £1, I sell it for £2, but because I'm going to take advantage of you, I'm going to sell it to you for £3. So I'm taking advantage of you. When really I should just charge you £2. What it costs. Mind and character degraded by dishonesty. He who utters falsehood or practices deception loses his own self-respect. He may not be conscious that God sees him and is acquainted with every business transaction, that holy angels are weighing his motives and listening to his words. So look at your motives. What's your motives? And listening to his words. And that his reward will be according to his works. But if it were possible to conceal his wrongdoing from human and divine inspection, the fact that he himself knows it is degrading to his mind and character. One act does not determine the character, but it breaks down the barrier, and the next temptation is more readily entertained. Until finally a habit of prevarication and dishonesty in business is formed, and the man cannot be trusted. And what happens? I've seen this. What happens? You tell a kind of what we call a white lie, and then the white lie, and all of a sudden you tell lies, and you don't even believe you're telling lies. So I could call up Sister Cedri and say something and lie to Sister Cedri, and I don't actually even think I'm lying. And that's what happens, okay? Because as you slip down and you readily entertain these things, okay, it just becomes habitual, and you don't even think you're lying. And that's why in the scriptures it says that in the last days they'll think they'll be doing God's service by killing you. Because they genuinely believe by killing you, they're doing God's service. They believe that we're following God. So they'll get rid of you thinking it is God's service. Because they genuinely believe there's nothing that they're doing is wrong. And that happened in the Dark Ages. As we deal with our fellow men in petty dishonesty or in a more daring fraud, so will we deal with God. Men who persist in a course of dishonesty will carry out their principles until they cheat their own souls and lose heaven and eternal life. They will sacrifice honor and religion for a small worldly advantage. You know, it's scary. You sure you will get into business, anyone? You know, even in our workplaces, do we defraud our employers? You know, I mean, imagine as an employee, do you defraud your bosses? Do you like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna cut short my work by 3 hours, or you know what, I'm gonna go half speed today on my work? Because what that is, you're defrauding your employers. Shunning debt. Many poor families are poor because they spend their money as soon as they receive it. You must see that one should not manage his affairs in a way that will incur debt. When one becomes involved in debt, he is one of Satan's nets. He's in one of Satan's nets, which he sets for souls. So if you're in debt, okay, you're in a net. You're in one of Satan's net. And what's the only thing that's going to save us from Satan's net? Jesus. I don't know if you remember Pilgrim's Progress and what it is, Christian and hopeful. They get caught in the net. And what do they do when they get caught in the net? Do you remember? What did they do? Murmur. No, they didn't murmur, Richard. Can anyone remember, right, when Christian was caught in the net with hopeful, what they cried out?
Save me.
Not quite.
Help.
Right? They cried out help to God. So when they're in the net, cried out help, and an angel comes along, tells them off, and then he cuts the net open. So what I'm saying is if we find ourselves in one of Satan's nets and one of his snares, we can cry for help, and Christ, through his time, through his mercy, through our diligence, can get us out of the scrape. Abstracting and using money for any purpose before it is earned is a snare. Alright? Okay? Abstracting and using money for any purpose before it is earned is a snare. You know what I was talking about? Credit. I don't want to spend too much time on credit because we talked about credit, how there's a bad credit and there's a good credit. Alright? So we have a bad credit and we have a good credit. So I'm not saying credit is bad because you need credit to buy a house, you may need credit to buy a car, alright? These things you're using to move things forward. So by buying a house, you save in rent, by buying a car, you can go to work, okay? But buying something like something you don't really need, like television, even furniture, okay, even furniture, decorating, all these things that you buy on credit, you should be able to be in a position where you can pay for it straight. So I always put stuff on my credit card, but what I do at the end of the month, I pay my credit card off, because on my credit card I get cash back. So every time I buy petrol on my credit card, I get 3%. Every time I go to the supermarket, I get 1%. And any time I go to the department stores, I get 2%. And anything else, I get 0.5%. So I put everything in my card. At the end of the month, I pay it off. Okay? And I actually earn money that way. Now, if you're not very good at money, then what I would recommend is do cash, you do debit card, but if you can discipline yourself, then I'll get a credit card that gives you cash back, and every time you use your credit card, you do a bank transfer. So that at the end of the month, the card's all paid off.
I thought you're supposed to earn a certain amount of money before you get a credit card.
Some credit card lenders will lend it to you. Banks and credit card companies are not stupid, right? They think you are stupid, right? And most people are stupid. So what they do is they entice you to get the credit card, all right? And they say, oh, don't worry, you can just pay off a little bit each month at certain interest rate. And what they do, they make so much money out of you that even those who have bad debt, it doesn't matter, they make so much money because they know that you can't live within your means. So what they do is they entice you, yeah, come get my card, we'll give you cash back, but they make more money on the interest they charge you than on the cash back. So only use a credit card if you are prepared and can pay off at the end of the month.
They oppress you and then force you to live outside your means.
No, they don't oppress you or force you. What they do is they say, we are going to offer you a credit card of good value. And it's up to you to choose whether you're going to have that credit card. Okay? Can you please put your hand up if you've got something to say? If you want to use a credit card and you're not capable of using a credit card, pay the credit card every time you use it. Don't blame the banks. Alright? The banks aren't stupid, but don't blame them. You are the ones, you people, the worldwide people are the ones that are stupid because they cannot manage their monies. Don't blame the banks.
Yeah, so I used to work for an insolvency practice in law, and I was there with this lady. She had six credit cards, I think she was, but she was £40,000 in debt. And what she was doing, they can be very addictive, and that's the part of it. If you can be strict on yourself and pay off each month, as you said, that's great. But other people haven't got that will, that strong will and that discipline to do that. They see things that come up. She was using it to buy leather chairs, using it to go on expensive holidays. Basically, it was expensive furniture, and she kept, these card transfers.
Keep transferring the card,
And she was going to the bank, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. She got in so much debt. She owed 40,000. She was just a simple, I thought it was a high, somebody in a high job or something. But she was just an ordinary person. But she ended up bankrupt, and we had to write a letter to say, do you have any houses? Do you own any property? Because that's where it was going to go. 40,000 in debt, 6 credit cards.
Yeah. And that's the whole point. Living within your means. If you cannot control your cards or money, don't use them. Okay?
So can you clarify what you said about the credit card? Because you said something about, you end up paying for interest and they get the money out of you. So you've given an example.
Yes.
How are you saving money for doing that?
Because every time I use my card, they give me cash back. But I pay off the whole entire balance at the end of each month. If you pay the balance on your credit card at the end of each month, it's interest free and they give you cash back.
So basically, with like credit things, I'm guessing they're hoping that you might miss a payment.
Oh, absolutely. And they're hoping that you can't pay the balance off. So actually they're not hoping you miss a balance. They're hoping that you pay over monthly installments. So when you have, go on.
So are they hoping that you buy something big and say to yourself, I don't have the money, but I'll pay it off.
Yes.
Whereas you make sure you're paying it off.
Exactly. Because what happens on a credit card is you have minimum payments per month to keep your credit scoring good. So let's say if you spend £1,000 on your card, they say that's no problem. Minimum payment is £30 a month, and it'll take you 2 years to pay for it. And in the meantime, they've made huge amounts of interest on you. Okay, but it's your fault. It's not the bank's fault. The banks are providing the service. They're very happy you're taking the service because they're going to make lots of money out of you. But it's your fault. It's not the banks. Don't curse the banks. Don't blame the banks. They're in it for business, but you're the ones that are giving them the business. There's nothing wrong with a credit card. It's how you use the credit card.
When I was in America, about maybe 10 years or longer than that, years ago, there was a lady there who was mega in debt because of her card. But she said she came across a website or something to say how she would be able to get rid of her debt, and she didn't pay anything back on that.
Yeah, but you know what, as I'm not even going to say as Christians, as people on this message, yeah, that's the indictment on your character to get into debt and then cancelling it. You know, that, you know, well, okay, you know what,
She didn't have a business.
if we have to go into bankruptcy, we go into bankruptcy. But that's still an indictment on your character that you've gone into bankruptcy. You should never have got yourself in that position when you're bankrupt. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm saying people on this message, you know, you're supposed to be like representative of Christ, and to go into bankruptcy, you know, it should be the last resort. Words to one who lived beyond his income. And this is the problem we have. We live beyond our income. Okay? You ought not to allow yourself to become financially embarrassed. Okay, let me just stop there for a second. You ought not to allow yourself to become financially embarrassed. The only time you go bankrupt is if your business goes bankrupt. Okay? Because sometimes you start a business and it will go bankrupt. That's the only time you should think about bankruptcy. Otherwise, you ought not allow yourself to become financially embarrassed. If you've got a store card and it gives you discounts and benefits, that's being a good steward. It's being a good steward as long as you can pay it back. If you can't pay it back, please don't use them. Use cash. Because when I buy something in cash, it hurts. When I use a card, it doesn't hurt. God, let's put it on the card, let's put it in the card, right? And then when I get the monthly statement, it adds up. All of a sudden I thought, wow, is that my monthly bill? But, you know, I go through it and I can realise that, yeah, I can justify every single one of those spends. So, you ought not to allow yourself to become financially embarrassed. For the fact that you are in debt weakens your faith and tends to discourage you. So, you know, despite what anyone says, debt weakens you. Alright? And it can discourage you. So let's not get into that situation. And even the thought of it makes you nearly wild. You need to cut down your expenses, alright? So you need to cut down your expenses and strive to supply this deficiency in your character. You can and should make determined efforts to bring under control your disposition to spend means beyond your income. The simple truth is, if you haven't got the money, do not buy it. If you do not have the money, do not go. If you do not have the money, don't go to Cosmo or any other restaurant if you cannot, because that's what happens. It happens. I'm sorry I keep being up Cosmo, because it happens. We've got no money, we go blow it on a restaurant, and then the next day I need a loan because I can't pay my bills. Well, you don't do it.
I was just going to say that I think sometimes when you have the money,
Yes.
and you could, but you can see what happens to me sometimes is maybe I want to go somewhere, or I want to do something, and I have the money, but along the month, I might think to myself, okay, it might be £20 now, but at the end of the month, I might need that for just anything. Anything can happen.
Yeah. And for
So
most
just because
businesses,
you have the money doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it as well.
No,
so.
it's true. And we talked about last week, making sure every week or every month you're putting something aside into your rainy day fund.
It's interesting not saying that. last week, is in just because you can doesn't mean you should. But especially like for me, it's got Taylor, there's always this pressure that we have to come down to London and so on and so forth. And it seems so easy, but like it all adds up because you think you'll travel there and then you end up spending more because you're being a bit more social. So I think what Taylor's saying is that you may very well have the money, but you might think to yourself, you know what, let me just because I can, doesn't mean I should.
And I talked about that last weekend. So when I'm travelling, I can get the Burger King, the veggie burger, for £8 with double fries, large fries, right? Or I can get the loaf of bread and the hummus, which is going to cost me like £3, and it's going to last me 2-3 days. So just because I can, it doesn't mean I have to. Yes, about £8. If you get the bean burger and the fries, onion rings for extra 99p, right? So the issue is yeah, I can afford to get it, or I can get the hummus and the bread, and it's going to last me a couple of days. And it's about containing that money. And so we talk about frugality, being frugal. And with that extra money, you can do something. You can do something with it. You can put a savings towards something. You can put savings to camp meeting, saving towards your house. You can pay off your house. There's lots of things you can do by scaling back. The cause of God may be reproached. The world has a right to expect strict integrity in those who profess to be Bible Christians. The world's expecting from you to have integrity. By one man's indifference in regard to paying his just dues, all our people are in danger of being regarded as unreliable. Let me just pause that for a second. You who proclaim to be Seventh-day Adventists, if you do something wrong, you give us all a bad name. I remember there was a lady once, years back, we were doing some archaeological programs, and we were dealing with this lady, and she asked, what denomination are you? So I said, I'm Seventh-day Adventist. And she goes, oh, I have someone who works for me who's a Seventh-day Adventist, and they're the best employee I've ever had. Absolutely fantastic. And as a result, she said, yeah, fine, we'll deal with you. It's good. Now, if that individual had been a bad Seventh-day Adventist, what reproach? Now, my father, he did business with a Seventh-day Adventist, and that person defrauded my dad. And so now my dad, right, from that perspective, has a very negative view of Seventh-day Adventists. He's supposed to be a Christian, and look how he defrauded me. And I told my dad, I said, take him to court. And my dad said, no, he's a Christian man, I won't take him to court. I said, take him to court, he deserves it. Because how else is he going to learn the lesson? And my dad let him off. And he was a Seventh-day Adventist. And that Seventh-day Adventist today is an elder in one of the churches. Those who make any pretensions to godliness should adorn the doctrine they profess, and not give occasion for the truth to be reviled through the inconsiderate course of action. Owe no man anything, says the apostle. And that goes for anything, to be honest, not even our money, what we say. If we're rude to people at work, we're rude to our landlords, and they know you're a Seventh-day Adventist, all of a sudden you've given us all a bad name. Counsel to one in debt. Be determined never to incur another debt. Deny yourself 1,000 things rather than run in debt. And this has been the curse of your life, getting into debt. Avoid it as you would the smallpox. I thank the Lord I've not had smallpox. Anyone had smallpox, right? Chickenpox. My dad had chickenpox. It's nasty, right? I've had other stuff. I've had boils, but I've not had that, and I can tell that's painful. And the point is this: if you owe someone money, remember we talked about your creditors and you had like a list of doing it, you should go all out war on that debt. Okay? And I remember someone came to me, they were like in desperate need, the bailiffs were they got into a bit of difficulties, and they needed some money, and we said, okay, fine, I'll lend you the money, alright, but we're going to pay it over 12 months, right? Yeah, we're going to do it over 12 months, this is the payment plan, this is what we agreed. So I said, okay, fine, I'll lend it to you, and it should have been paid within 12 months. It took over 3 years, right? And honestly, it took over 3 years, and I had to cajole we had an agreement. And I think it almost spanned into the fourth year. To the extent I'm saying, I'm going to charge you interest. No, you can't do that. It's not Christian. It's not Christian to charge interest, right? It's not Christian to delay your debt. Don't tell me it's not Christian not to charge interest. And in between that time, I'm thinking, looks like a new laptop, that does. How many trips have you made? Right? And I'm saying, well, I hope that wasn't at my expense, that laptop. And I hope all the other trips you made wasn't at my expense. Because before you make the trip, before you buy the brand new laptop, you should pay your obligation first. Especially if you agreed. And the worst thing, it wasn't even like, can I have an extension? It's not like, oh, you know what, can we take that 1 year to 2 years?
But the principle is we are not allowed to incur interest no matter what it may look like. You can't decide, I'm going to do that.
Yes, you can. Let's be clear, right? The Bible talks about usury. Usury isn't not about not charging interest. Usury is about not taking advantage. Let me give an example. Ellen White would borrow money off brethren to put deposits down on sanitariums, and she'd pay interest on that. So Ellen White was prepared to pay interest to a brother or a sister. Now, if it was me, if I'm lending money to the prophet, I'm not going to charge interest. Right? However, Ellen White was totally prepared. I'll borrow the money off you and I'll pay you interest because we need the money to put deposit down in the sanitarium. It is not wrong to charge interest.
What's the purpose of interest? Like, what would I gain from?
Because if you could please refrain from comments. For instance, if I got money in the bank, I earn interest on the money in the bank. So for example, in my bank account, I earn up to a certain limit, I earn interest. Now, if I lend you that money, it's actually costing me in lost interest lending you that money. Now, if I lend you the money interest free, that's, God will bless me for that. Therefore, if I lend you interest free, you shouldn't take advantage of that because it's actually costing me to lend you the money. Because with that money, I can put it into my savings account and I can earn, 1 to 3%. And so the purpose of interest is the other thing is you've got inflation. So the interest helps you to compensate you for inflation. So when I lend that money, after 3-4 years, I've actually lost out not only on my interest, but I also suffered on the inflation. Okay? So if you do it, you go all out war. Whoever it is, if you owe your utility company a load of money, you pay it off. It's the Christian thing to do. Make a solemn covenant with God that by His blessing you will pay your debts and then owe no man anything if you live on porridge and bread. It is so easy in preparing your table to throw out your pocket 25 cents for extras. Take care of the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. Alright? I'll do yours at the end. It is easy to throw out little pennies and monies. It's the mites here and the mites there that are spent for this, that, and the other that, and the other that soon run up into dollars. Deny self at least while you are walled in with debts. Do not falter, be discouraged, or turn back. Deny your taste. Deny the indulgence of appetite. Save your pence and pay your debts. Work them off as fast as possible. When you can stand forth a free man again, owing no man anything, you will have achieved a great victory. And that's why I keep going about the restaurants, because she goes on about the food, appetite. Yeah? I fancy going to restaurants. It's nice going to restaurants when someone's cooking for you, especially if it's nice. But she's saying deny yourself, especially if you are in debt. Show consideration for unfortunate debtors. If some are found to be in debt and really unable to meet their obligations, they should not be pressed to do that which is beyond their power. They should be given a favourable chance to discharge their indebtedness and not be placed in a position where they are utterly unable to free themselves from debt. Though such a course might be considered justice, it is not mercy and the love of God. So look, if someone owes me money, alright, it's not I'm going to ring them every day. Where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money? Alright? It's basically giving them a period of time, giving them a little bit of space, give them opportunity to clear it off, okay, rather than be on the phone. But I'll be honest, if I see the person going on a jolly here, restaurant here, this stuff, I'm saying, oh, where's my money? Yeah, you understand? That's what he's saying. Show mercy and consideration.
I wanted to ask about debt and paying people back, because I've watched, like, you know, like those Christian channels where people send me questions and they might say, you know, I borrowed my brother money and he's not paying it back. And some they always give the advice that when you kind of lend, be prepared not to give it, be prepared not to get it back. Is that a good thing? Is that what we're supposed to do, or is that good advice?
In some ways yes, in some ways no. Alright, I'll take those at the end. The issue is this: if we are borrowing money, right, you can't take advantage of that. In other words, if you're borrowing off your brother or your sister, you pay them back. You can't say, oh, well, my brother and sister. This person to this day still owes me £28 from 2014 camp meeting. 2014 camp meeting, he bought the manual, he got some stuff, and it was about £28. And he turns around and tells someone, because they told me, well, Manjit's got money, I'm not paying him, he doesn't need it. It's not the point whether I need it or not. The point is, if you owe it, you pay it. Okay, now, the advice is good in another aspect, because if I lend you money and I'm prepared to just lose it, then I'm not going to have heartache and stress and burnout because I lent you the money or grievance. However, I shouldn't have to lend you money and be prepared to lose it. I don't work like that. Okay, I lend you money, I expect it to be paid back whenever. But if I lend it to you, but if personally I'm prepared to lose it, then you know what, if I've lost it, I've lost it. I've really got the mindset that I've lost it. I'm not going to get into stress about it. Sorry? I'm not going to take Richard's point first for a number of reasons, because it just escalates. I said I'll take it at the end. Go ahead.
You just presumption again. You need to be careful with presumption, because it was a verse to go in with Daisy's comment. Can
I just remind, please, that it's being recorded, and please put your hand up. I saw your hand.
You take advantage of that as well. My remarks.
I saw your hand. I said I'll take it at the end. Okay. Every time you say something, it escalates, Richard. I said I'll take your question at the end, please, for the sake of the recording. Have some respect, Sister Octavia.
I was going to say, sometimes when you want money, like family, if I need money, I'd say, oh, can you borrow me? And then I'd pay them back, because